My name's Ryan Berns. I'm the president of the Lacrosse Leadership Institute. It's our mission to empower all those that love lacrosse to live the lives of their dreams. Utilize the skills that you gain from lacrosse to be successful and live the life that you want to live. I'm so excited for our guest today. Bryant Hernandez is a national champion with Concordia University, and he's doing a lot to grow the game out in California. Bryant, can you please share with our community how you started in lacrosse and give us a little bit more background on your story?
Sure. First, thank you for having me. When I first started playing was back in my freshman year of high school. I would say that was 2009, 2008 area. Scott Wicken was my first coach. He played originally for the Anaheim, Storm, back when they had a club team back here. He started the program actually at Downey, where I coach at now, and he had a really he had a very thorough way, I would say, of teaching the game. He would make sure you knew about the heritage of the sport, knowing about the spirituality aspect of it, how it first came to be, and then his own passion and kind of love for the game would seep into his players, and I even to this day I'll reach out to some of my old teammates, and it's crazy to see how far some of us will have taken the love for the game, and to this day, even when I have alumni games here coaching at the game, you'll see the crazy amount of support from previous players who just fell in love with it, and to this day, whether or not they're still active in it, will still make an effort to show up and have it be a part of their lives.
I think that's such a cool thing about the lacrosse culture, and we were just talking about that before we started this live, is it doesn't really matter who you played for or what. Whenever you say lacrosse, you have that instant bond. But when you have a coach for the school that you played for, and he's able to build on that culture, there's that connectivity that no one can deny, and it keeps people so present. Now, Brian, with your experience with the game, what would you say is your pinnacle lacrosse moment?
It's really interesting because a lot of people like to look at the ups as the pinnacle, and there was a moment, and funny enough, when I went to and played at Concordia Lacrosse, there was a lot of turmoil. The first year, there was a whole scandal, it being a dry campus, and just certain things happened. Our coach actually ended up leaving us, and our assistant coach stepped up. And it was funny because he instilled a whole mentality onto the team, because you know how every coach has their own ethos for the sport, how you play it, and just how you approach the game. And his ethos was just iron sharpens iron, next man up, and just there's no excuses. And it's kind of where Wicken would kind of start his players off, and then he just happened to kind of just pound it in and refine it and make it into this whole amazing picture where funny enough, next year we end up going to the national championship, and then we lose it at the national championship after being up at halftime. We were up and then lost it. And it's wow, you can see us, you can see our team just crushed. We had previous year, we lose half our team, coach leaves us, and next we still make it to playoffs, but we're early bounce, not even, we had I think 13 players to begin the game, going into a collegiate game. So it was there was no way. But we get eliminated, and we're just but there's a fire in us, and we come back the next year, and we make it all the way back. Still and I mean, the team getting disrespected because of course we're from California, and of course, I mean, the East Coast, they've been playing it forever, and I mean the way they play is crazy and all, but yeah, we that year we had something special, and it was interesting seeing how that defeat, it didn't break us. Instead, it kind of it burned a whole new fire and just made the fire stronger, to where The next year we weren't there, but we lost at the quarterfinals, and then like 1 year later at my senior year, we finally get there and we finally overcome the mountain. You know, we get to the pinnacle and we make it. But I feel like the whole, what makes the whole thing worth it is that climb and the falls, and so I would say it's actually just, it was getting to the championship that first year where we lost it because of how we bounced back and still lost. And just, it was like, it was a real coming to realization moment of like, just because you're here, you can't just like let up. You know, we were ahead in the game, and just because we were there, the game wasn't over. So it's kind of that. I feel like that was the moment.
I think that's so interesting, Brian. It's not necessarily the moment itself, and winning the championship is obviously important, but the journey. Sounds like you just love the process and getting down, grinding it out with your boys, and you have that camaraderie about you, which is amazing to hear. A big part of the conversation that we like to have is about leadership. So I want to ask you, especially with that experience that you have and that just the ups and downs being part of your favorite part of the game, what does leadership mean to you?
I feel like at the end of the day, it all boils down to self-responsibility. I feel like that's just, if you want to bring it down to the simplest factor, I feel like it's that. When we think of, you know, we can stay in sports, right? We can think of LeBron James or Kobe Bryant. If their teams ever fell, if anything ever happened, I mean, they were the ones who took the ball. It didn't matter whether someone didn't grab a rebound. It didn't matter whether they passed it to someone who was open and make a shot. What mattered was Kobe Bryant or LeBron James didn't do what they needed to do. If we think about even if we think of activists, Dr. Martin Luther King, if he would have happened to have spoken or said any of the wrong stuff, let his anger take control of him, and it would have, at the end of the day, the ball would have fallen on him, right? He was the one under the microscope. It was him who was under the microscope. He had his people who were there, and they were helping him out, but it was him who was being in front of everybody. And if he was to falter, if anything was to happen, the ball was going to end up falling on him. So, I mean, we can say that's an extreme, or we can just say, hey, well, I mean, it's the extreme. We look at the extremes for inspiration. So when I tell my players is, one, I'm not here to make lacrosse players. I'm here to make leaders. And it's funny that you asked me that question, because lacrosse is beautiful, and it's such a great tool. And it's that's how I see it. I see it as a tool. It's a lifestyle. It's a tool. It's something that, if used correctly, it can actually support you a lot in your life and support you in finding success. Because if I take that approach of self-responsibility on the field, I can say, hey, well, okay, whether or not we get that ground ball, whether or not we get that face off, whether or not the player back cut me, whether or not whether or not I have the stick skills to even be on the starting lineup or make the team, catch that shot, whatever skill is necessary. I mean, it is my responsibility to do it, because at the end of the day, I am the one who plays, right? The coach, as much as passionate as we are, and as much as we want to be on the field, and as much as we want to do the stuff for the kid, we can't be there. I get frustrated sometimes because I'm like, why don't you just do this, or but it's the thing is that the kids are going to do what they're going to do. So it's on us to just kind of develop that mindset and instill that leadership aspect. So for me, it's just teaching them that self-responsibility, that like at the end of the day, it's their own person they're representing. You're a walking resume of who you are. So it doesn't just matter when people are looking. 90% of the work is done when nobody's there to watch you. So you can say, hey, you know what? I've practiced every single day for 30 minutes. You guys all saw me. Or you can say, hey, you know what? I didn't work hard enough. I get to just make it happen. And that's how I try to instill it with my kids.
Oh, I love that. And that's that personal integrity, right? We all have that, and we have that accountability factor with sports, with lacrosse. You can look at yourself and say, hey, Did I work hard enough today at practice? But then it translates to the real world or school or your family. Was I the best son? Was I the best daughter? Did I show up as the best employee? And it all brings back, and I'd love to hear that you're looking to build leaders, Brian, and you're empowering them to be successful not only on the field, but in all aspects of their lives. Usually that's because we've been moved by lacrosse for one reason or another. Would you share how lacrosse has affected your life?
Yeah, man. Funny enough, it has a lot to do with leaving leaving my comfort zone, which was, so I grew up. I was born in East LA, and we would slowly but surely move, I guess towards Downey, I guess I would say. Yeah, because Montebello, Bell Gardens, and Downey, and those communities are primarily Latino based. Not a lot of cultural or like diversity, just a lot of Latino. So it was very interesting for me when I left Downey High School and I went to Concordia University. I felt like a complete outsider. Like where I had been, I had felt somewhat popular in high school. I had had my clique of friends and had always had a group. Now I was a complete outsider. I was in Orange County, California. I was the little Hispanic kid who wore really baggy clothes for some reason and had a really huge chip on his shoulder and just wanted to show the world that what I had. And I get to Concordia and I get this such a relaxed and kind of inviting vibe. Like my teammates, all they do is joke around and hang out with each other and there were days where I would, I used to commute from Downey to Irvine every single day, and they would see that and they're like, "Hey, do you want to just crash the night? Just spend the night?" And it got to a point where I was spending the night almost 2 or 3 times a week, and I'm just like, okay, well, I basically have a home away from home whenever I need it, and just having that group of people and it's beautiful because the whole origin of the story, right? I talked about the origin of the story and how my first coach made sure we learned it. There's many ways to interpret it, but how I interpreted it was we all have a place here, whether it might be in the sport, in life, whatever it might be, but we all have a place here, right? So you have the whole story on how the land animals didn't want the bat, and so the animals grabbed it by its legs, stretched it out, made wings. I don't know where makes the game-winning play and wins the game, right? If you think of lacrosse, funny enough, I was a face-off specialist. I could have taken the approach of, I'm just a face-off specialist, and that's my role. That's what I'm gonna play and whatever. Or I could have taken the approach of, I have something to give to this team. Maybe it's for 10 seconds at a time, sometimes longer, right? Because if I get stuck on defense, I have to know how to play defense. It's not just win the ball and hope and pray. So it's taking that approach of we all have a place. So within this team, I had a special place, and they made sure I knew that. They made sure that when I played, there was this sense of, no, we trust him. We and if I was to fall, they had my back. So having that origin story, and then just having it be shown to me in person was it honestly, it made me fall in love with the sport in such a beautiful way where these teammates, I see them as brothers. If they were to call me today and say, hey, I need this or whatever, yeah, sure. where do I meet you or whatever it might be, and just that camaraderie of we all have that place. So if I take that whole aspect, I can bring it on to just planet Earth. If we look at the current situations, right, we all have a place here. We can look at it in the microcosm of the sport. We can just expand it into real life, and that's, yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. You look at it and it expands to real life, but when you also look at it, you think of that camaraderie. You think of your boys recognizing, hey, Brian's going down to Downey every single day. Let's reach out. Let's help. And then you build stronger bonds. And I think for all the youth watching, this is just such a real conversation. Brian, thanks for sharing that and just showing what it's like to play at that next level and really what it means to be a teammate. It's going above and beyond and helping out your brother because it's the right thing to do. And now you find yourself coaching. How's coaching, in your opinion, differ from when you were playing, and how are you trying to make your guys better and create the culture of leaders?
So before I go there, it's kind of funny because you bring up that point, and it's about how, you know, just having our part and making sure we're all involved. And I mean, I could have easily just been ignored. I mean, when I first showed up at that whole team, like, I wasn't good enough to be on the lacrosse team. I was not good enough to be on Concordia's team. I remember showing up to the first day of practice, and the ball hit me in the face, like, well, not in the face, but in the face mask, 3 times just in warm-up drills, 9 drills. And my teammate at the time, Canadian, Josh Fagan, one of the best players I've ever played with, was like, dude, I can't throw you a better pass. And I had no response other than I didn't see it. So that, like, right, that he could have taken that whole, like, approach of, like, why is this guy on my team? Instead, he kind of came and talked to me and, like, again, was always very supportive, never pushing me down, but just always kind of uplifting that. So that camaraderie is definitely important. I feel like we learn most from our peers than really from the coach, right? Because the coach will talk and talk, but eventually it just becomes wah, 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 wah. And it's the players who kind of come up and, like, hey, now I've been working with you. I know exactly what you're going through, man. I understand it. So let's go. What do we need to do to get you to the next level? Now, as for the second question, which was sorry, I kind of lost.
How do you create the culture of leaders amongst your team right now?
So creating that culture of leaders is I take that same approach as Josh Fagan, who kind of just did it for me, right? Which was it's the whole iron sharpens iron mentality. Like, just because, so luckily I coach high school right now, right? So when I coach high school, one of the biggest things that impedes kids from playing is their own grades. That's them standing in their own way. So one of the things that I do is, one, you guys have teammates. Like, reach out to one another, you know? Reach out to one another. Start actually learning how to ask for help when you need it. Guess what? If I need that slide, I should be calling for that slide, right? And just the same, if I see a teammate struggling, I should let them know, hey, I should give them that reaching hand. If I see my teammate getting double teamed, I should let them know, hey, I'm here. You know, right? So always kind of just showing them, hey, where it applies in real life, where it shows up in the game. I do my best to kind of create a camaraderie aspect where, like, I kind of put them against each other and rival them up a little bit. Like, you know, hey, this kid's showing up, he's doing good, he's kind of whatever, you know, and, like, hey, he showed out, he beat you out today, or whatever it might be, you know. And it creates a sense of, you know what, I'm gonna work harder than you. We do allow a little bit of chirping because I believe it's healthy masculine. I believe that it's healthy for the boys to kind of get that out. But again, it's never putting anybody down. Doing it in a way where it's not putting anybody down, but kind of just calling people forth. I also believe that it's important to have the older guys kind of reach down to the younger guys. So I talk about how I do my alumni games. When I do my alumni games, the reason I do it is because, hey, these are the people who used to play. I mean, maybe some of them want to play college. Some of them stopped at high school. But they'll tell you their personal experience. So, hey, yeah, you know what? When I was in high school, I got distracted by girls. Or, hey, when I got into high school, I slipped up on my grades. Or, like, hey, I had a college opportunity and I didn't make it because of my grades. Or you know, I didn't work as hard as I thought. I was a starter and then I stopped working so hard. So then I dropped down to JV and whatever the story might be, you know. But it gives these kids a sense of, like, one, hey, this family is here to stay. Two, it shows them that, like, other people are here to support them, whether they know it or not. You'd be surprised how often I get a call from Downey, like it's just an old friend, a teammate or whatever. Hey, so your kids, I just saw them right now at the park. They're hitting the wall, blah, blah, blah. Hey, you got some shooters. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just glad they're out there. You know, how many of them were there? They're like 3 or 4. All right, great. Awesome. Thank you. Hey, do me a favor, to take a picture. I'll have them send me a picture and I'll post it on them. And like, hey guys, just so you guys know, we're always watching. You guys are always being watched. You guys are always being supported. Like people would love to see it. They love to see that you're out there working, you know, like they're not mad at you for working hard. So just always trying to get them to give back to themselves. Just give back to themselves. Always just give back to themselves. And incorporating the parents, you know, having the parents just kind of push them forward. Because if the parents see that the kids love it and it's not causing the kids any issues, the parents are more than willing to just be like, yeah, go forward, go, just keep on going, you know?
I love that support system, and the fact that everyone's watching. It builds into what you said before, just who you are. You said that you're a walking resume. It's your brand at the end of the day. Everything that you do on and off the field is a representation of who you are ultimately. And Brian, you're a great representation for the sport. And it's amazing that you're up to so many terrific things and empowering the youth to be successful. If there was one thing that you could tell your players as well as any other players so that they can play on that next level, what would you encourage them to do, or what would you tell them to do?
The main thing I would say is I like to use professional athletes because, hey, I mean, I played at the college level. Let me learn from someone who went at a higher level than I did, right? And one of my inspirations has always been Kobe Bryant. And when they would ask him these questions about how he would stay in the zone, right? Stay in the zone. It's something that I, as a player, always tried to figure out, right? As a face-off guy, I was trying to figure out, how do I get into the zone where, like, just my hands, like, once I hear the whistle, it's just gone, you know? And whatever it might be for whatever player. What I realized that it is just being present, right? Being present. Now, a lot of people might not know what that means. I certainly didn't understand what it meant when I first heard it. But what I mean by that is just like, what I'm doing in this moment is literally the most important thing. I am doing this. So if that means, hey, right now I got to catch this ball, that is the most important thing, right? Like they talk about how, like, oh, that he was able to catch it through the contact. Guess what? He did that. He did that because his focus was on catching the ball. If my focus is on watching my defender, I won't get back cut if I'm watching my defender. If I know, hey, I need to watch the ball, I need to watch my defender, I'm not gonna get back cut. But if in 1 second I'm thinking, okay, cool. Oh, so what am I gonna do later today, or my girlfriend and I have a date later, or me and my friend are gonna go party, or whatever it might be. If I'm thinking about this stuff while I'm on the field, that gives that other person who might actually be present an opportunity to just back cut me. And while I'm spending that second getting back on track and figuring it out, someone else already did. So just keeping present, whatever you're doing at that moment is what you're doing at that moment. And just the other thing is, like, as long as I'm better than I was yesterday, I can be proud of myself. So some days better is just gonna look 1% better. Some days better is gonna look like showing up. Some days, like, I'm just really not gonna want to do it. And forget all that. Still do it. Why? Because nobody else is going to. That other person does not feel sorry for you. That other player across from you is like, okay, great. He doesn't feel good. I'm feeling great. This just means I'm gonna have it's probably a hat trick within the first half or whatever it might be. You know? So yeah, just that. I mean, you decide how good a player you're gonna be. You decide what kind of person you're gonna be. You make the decisions. Nobody else does. That's the end of it for me.
I absolutely love that, Brian. It's all about being present every single moment you're there and being better, whether it's 0.1% or 1% or however much that is. As long as you focus and you're looking forward, I think we have the opportunity to live into our futures. And that's the biggest thing. So thanks for hitting on that hard. How can we as a community support you and whatever your goals are right now?
So funny enough, COVID kind of really has made stuff a little bit weird right now. What I was going to do, I was gonna start this whole youth program. Downey used to have a youth program for the middle schoolers and the elementary schoolers. So I currently coach the high school. What I'm working on doing is I was hoping to partner up with the middle schools, kind of create like these free camps for them, and then start these small mini leagues where they would first start off as a 3v3 and then evolve into a full-on 6-on-6. However, with the COVID situation, I know a lot of the schools, I'm already working with the schools. I already know how the situation is, and that, I mean, they're not really trying to have practices and stuff on the campuses. Honestly, what it would be more than anything would be donations for cleaning supplies so that we can actually make sure that the kids are safe. What I'll be expanding this whole league. I probably won't be starting it till 2021, waiting this out hopefully a little bit. Possibly waiting till the end of the season, lacrosse wise, because I still have to focus on my high school players. But just if they know any kids who are interested in playing, just keep an open ear for that, because I do want to expand it to the surrounding communities. I know that Long Beach has had a few leagues and has had a few teams, so they're tackling that area. I want to go more towards the inner city, going towards East LA, and I know Manual Arts used to have teams, and I know all those teams used to have teams. So I want to get that going again. I want to keep the growth going because hey, the PLL just came out. I know there's a lot more exposure. So again, if anybody knows any kids, middle school, youths, even high school, that are interested in playing, they don't even have to have any equipment. We will provide it. Just keep an open ear out. We have our Downey High School lacrosse page. We'll be posting it there on Instagram, and we will be starting off. We'll be spreading messages from there. So
awesome, Brian. Well, I'll be sure to add this to the YouTube page. We'll put your contact information in there so people can reach out to you, probably the website. On Instagram, I know that you've got a page there, so everyone feel free to look at the Instagram page and go ahead and connect with Brian. He's up to some amazing things. We love that you're growing the game, Brian. Thank you for being on our conversation today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, man, and you guys have a good rest of your day. Good luck to ESU this year, by the way. They do have a season, right?
Yeah, right. I really appreciate it, Brian. Take care.
Yeah, you as well.